What's up, Nevimers? I'm here with yet another Treesitter tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to create a keybind that would generate a Javadoc comment for a given Java method. Now, before I start the tutorial, there are a few things to note. I will break this tutorial into multiple videos because we are going to be writing a lot of code. Then I'm expecting you to know what Treesitter is and how to use Treesitter for creating queries and evaluating them. Now, if you don't know anything about Treesitter, then nothing to worry. There are 2 videos I have done previously. So watch those 2 videos. I'll put the links in the video description below and head back to this video right here. Now, since all that stuff is out of the way, let's jump right into the tutorial. In order to create a Java document, we need some information from the method itself, like return type, method name, and the parameters we have defined in the method. Now, I guess we would use some kind of a string pattern matching algorithm to retrieve these information, or else if you're using Neovim, you can use Treesitter. That's exactly what we are going to do today. Now the keybind should be able to generate the document regardless where we are in the method, inside the method. So let's say I'm on this node right here. Let me just open the Treesitter playground so you can see. Right now we are in the return statement node. Even though we are here, it should be able to refer to its parent, in our case its method declaration, and it should be able to find the type identifier. In this case it's the return type, then we have the identifier, the method name, then we have parameters as a formal parameters node. That's the requirement for actually finding the method information. So let's get started with the script. Now let me open up another terminal as of this project location. Here it is, and I'm going to create a new file called test.lua. Let me just create a keybind that would run this file or resource this file. Let me just add a print statement, and in this video I'm going to create a keybind. I'm going to use leader w. We are resourcing or adding the Lua file test.lua cr to hit enter. Now we can run it by hitting leader w. It should print the value. All right, now we got the file working. Then what we are going to do is we are going to get the current node we are on in this syntax tree. And I'm going to import ts utils module from Neovim Treesitter. Next, I'm going to get the current node at the cursor point using ts utils. Let's store the value. Now let me just print the current node. Let's run the file again. You can see we have a node identifier. In the syntax tree, you can see we are on the identifier. Let's try it on the return statement. We have the current node retrieved from the syntax tree. All right, cool. Now we should be able to find the method declaration the current node belongs to. Let's do that right now. Again, I'm going to import another module. For some reason the syntax highlighting is all messed up, but don't worry about that. So let's use ts locals to get the scope. The method is called get scope tree, and we're going to pass in the current node as well as the current buffer number. Now I guess you could retrieve the buffer number from here, or we can echo buff_nr. Right now it's 1, but what we can do is we can just pass in 0. That means whatever the current buffer number, take it. So that's what we are going to do, and we're going to store the scope in a variable. Now let's print out the scope. Let's see what that is, and hit leader w. It's a table. To get more information, we can add it or send it through vim inspect. you can see we have multiple nodes. So I'm just going to follow through each and every one of them. I'm going to print the node type, the deleted W. As you can see, we have multiple nodes. First one is a block with a declaration, class body, and program. Right now, let me explain what's going on here when we are calling get scope. Right now we are on the return statement, but the scope will get the parent of the current node and parent of that node, and so on. So we have the block node, then the parent of that is method declaration, parent of that is class declaration. There is no parent of the class declaration, so that will be the program node. So that's why it's returning program. It's like the HTML document node, you know. So let me run it again. We deleted W. We have block, method declaration, class body, and program. So what we are interested in here is only the method declaration. Let's try to retrieve that. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable. Let's add a if condition here. Node type is equal to the method declaration. Then what we are going to do is we are going to store the value. Okay, let me just close and reopen the file. The highlighting is all messed up. Now we have the method node. What we can do is we can create a function and move all this code into that function, so we can easily call that function. So let's create that, paste all the content in here. Then we are going to return the method node. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so I guess we can print the value get method node, and this should still work. Yeah, there we go. We have the method declaration node. All right, now let's try to retrieve the method return type and the method name first. And let's call get method node to get the current method. I'm going to store that. Okay, now whenever we are outside a method, you know, it's going to return null because we have assigned nil to method node. So we need to check the value first. If not method node, then we are going to return. All right, now we are going to create a query to retrieve the information we need. Now let's head back to the source file and jump to the playground. Hit O here, the key O. It will open up this window where you can write queries. So let's start writing some queries. I'm going to get the method declaration first. That's where we are going to start, and I could try to capture the node, and when I hover over, you know, move the cursor to the capture, it should highlight that particular node if the query is correct. Then what we are interested in is the type, identifier, and method name, parameters, all that stuff. So let's retrieve them. Let me just copy these, paste it here. This should be within parentheses. I'm going to call this return type. Okay, there shouldn't be any spaces. Then the same way, let's get the name. I'm going to call this name. Then the parameter, I'll call this params, and let's validate if everything is working. All right, next what we are going to do is we are going to call Vim Treesitter queries, pass query. Then we are going to pass in the language. In our case, it's Java. then we can pass in the query we have created, and let's store the query object like so. Now we are going to use a for loop to iterate through each and every match, even though we are going to only have one match. So let's do for matches in query iter matches. Let's print the value and see what it is. All right, head back here, run the file. Okay, I forgot to call the method, so let's do get method info. Okay, there's an error. All right, actually I completely forgot to pass in the method node into this, and the buffer number in our case it's again going to be 0, so it will take the current buffer. And this node, this is what it's going to evaluate the query against. If we passed in root, then it will take the entire syntax tree, but we are only passing the current method node, so there is going to be only one match. So yeah, let's try to run this again, and we have 3 nodes because we have like 3 captures, params, names, and return type. So let's try to get the string value. First one is the return type local. Let me just actually print the value. Matches, first index is the return type, and let's try to get the string. Let's call Vim Treesitter query get node text. We should pass in the node, then the buffer number is going to be 0. Once again, I will actually add Vim inspect. Okay, now let's run. Okay, cool, we have a string retrieved. The same way, actually let me just first cut and create a variable. And get it like this. The same way we could retrieve the name, and let's print those two. There we go, we have the method name and the return type. Now the next task is to retrieve the method parameters. Now there could be methods without any parameters, so we have to consider that scenario as well. Maybe there are 10 parameters or 100 parameters defined in the method, so it could be any number of parameters, even 0. So what we are going to do is I'm going to create another variable called param node, just to be just so we know what it is, and assign matches 3 to that. Just renaming the variable, and once again we are going to start a for loop, and we are going to get the param in param node, and we're going to iterate through each and every child in that node. So iter children will do. Now it's going to iterate through these parentheses and commas and everything, so we don't need them. We are only interested in formal parameter node. We have the formal parameters parent node, and under that we have formal parameter, so that's only what we are interested in. So let's do a if condition param type should be equal to formal parameter. Then if that's the case, we are going to read the type and name from that parameter. Now these are called name child because we have a name defined here inside this formal parameter node. To retrieve them, you can use field method. So let's access param and field. Here we can pass in the type. In our case, sorry, the name. Actually the name is type, so we should get the value. Hopefully, let's try to print this. Once again, I think I may have forgot to. Okay, my bad. It should be param node, and let's run it once again. So this is going to be a table. Let's add vim inspect, run it again. Okay, it's returning me a table, and first node is the node we want. So let me access the first element. So there you go, we have the type node, and the same way we could get the name of the parameter. So let me just cut this and paste it here. Actually, let's get the text. Neovim Treesitter query, then get node text, pass in the node, then we should also pass in the buffer. In our case, it's current buffer, and hopefully this will return the string. Now we can store these. Oops. So let's create a variable called type, and the same way we are going to get the name, and here it should be changed to name. You know what, I'm going to create a table here. Let's call this param info and assign it a table. Then instead of storing it to a variable, we are going to add it to the table. So let's do table insert, and the table is param info. Let's do type and cut all this, paste it here. The same way, let's get the name. Okay, looks good. Now we only have one match, so there is no point of continuing the loop. So I'm just going to return the value from here. Return a table. We're going to return type. The value is return type because we have this variable right here. The same way, we are going to return name. The value is name. Let's call this param info, same as the variable. Then we're going to need one more information. That's where to add the document. We need the current line, so you can easily get that from the node. In the syntax tree, you can see in front of the node we have the line number. The same way you can get it programmatically. So let's get the line, let's call it start line, and you can get it from method node start. So I think that's all we need. Now let's print the value. Let's add it to vim inspect, and hopefully it should return all we want. But in the line 49 we have an error. Okay, we forgot the comma here. There we go. We have the method name, param info. We have two parameters, so and we have the return type. Now this line is 9, but the line number here is 10. That's because the index starts from 0. So that's all what we are going to cover in this video. In the next video, we will create the doc comment and insert it into the Java source file. So that is it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.